He kept smiling until the end. But what really happened in those final 72 hours? Behind the quiet smiles and fading lights lies a story no one was ever meant to see. A story of pain, courage, and an unspoken farewell. Tonight, Red Carpet Revealed takes you inside the heartbreaking final chapter of Menglong's fight for life. Let's uncover the truth together. The lights were still bright when he waved goodbye for the last time. Cameras flashed. Fans screamed his name. And Menglong smiled, the kind of smile that could calm a storm. It was gentle, almost too gentle. As if he already knew something no one else did. Behind that smile hid exhaustion. A quiet kind of pain that no camera could ever capture. To the world, he was shining. Flawless, untouchable. But to those closest to him, something had already changed. His eyes were kind but distant. His words were soft but fading. And in that final 72 hours, everything he had fought for, fame, passion, and peace, collided in a way that no one could have predicted. It began like any other week in the life of a star. His schedule was packed: filming, rehearsals, interviews, and a charity shoot he insisted on attending despite being visibly fatigued. Those around him urged him to rest. But he brushed it off with that same trademark grin. "I'm fine," he said. "It's just a little tiredness." Yet even as he said it, he rubbed his wrist. The faint tremor in his hands betraying the truth. His assistant later recalled that he barely ate that day, surviving only on coffee and water. When asked if something was wrong, Menglong simply smiled and said, "Don't worry. I'm used to this." No one pressed further. After all, he had always been strong, too strong. Perhaps, for his own good. The first night, he returned to his apartment later than usual. Security footage captured him entering the building at 1:43 a.m. Wearing a mask and cap. Alone, head lowered. The elevator ride was silent. Neighbors later told reporters that they heard faint music from his room. A melancholy melody on repeat, the same song he had performed in his early career about holding on through pain. Inside, the light from his computer flickered. He opened his fan messages, replying to a few before stopping midway. His last message was short: "Thank you for always believing in me. I'll do better soon." No one realized it would be his final message to them. By the next morning, the world still moved as usual. He was due at a script reading at 10 a.m. But his manager received a text at 9:07, running a bit late. "I'll be there soon." He never arrived. Calls went unanswered, and by afternoon, whispers began circulating in group chats among staff. His driver said Menglong had asked for the day off, something he had never done before. He said he wanted to walk alone. The driver told Red Carpet Revealed in an exclusive interview. It was strange. He didn't say where he was going, only that he needed a little time. CCTV footage from the day later showed him walking along a quiet riverside around noon, wearing a simple white hoodie and headphones. Witnesses described him as calm, even peaceful. He looked like someone lost in thought, but not sad. One passerby. He stopped for a long time by the water, just watching the waves. That image, a man alone by the river, smiling faintly to himself, would later haunt millions. The following hours remained a mystery. The phone was active until around 7 p.m., after which all activity stopped. For those who tried to reach him, calls went straight to voicemail. His co-star from an upcoming drama later shared, "We thought he had just turned it off. He'd been tired lately, so we didn't want to bother him." No one could imagine that each minute slipping away was part of his final day of freedom from the chaos surrounding him. Behind the scenes, pressure had been mounting for months. Multiple projects overlapped, leaving him with barely 3 hours of sleep per night. The endless cycle of work had begun to erode him, emotionally, mentally, physically. He had confided to a close friend weeks earlier, saying, "I feel like I'm fading. But everyone keeps asking me to shine brighter." Those words, once dismissed as poetic melancholy, read like a silent cry for help. People adored his calmness, his grace, his ability to stay kind in a cruel industry. But no one asked what it cost him. On the second day, panic began to set in. His team realized that Menglong hadn't shown up for filming, hadn't responded to any messages. A staff member from the production company recalled, "It was the first time in 5 years he ever missed a call time." Manager contacted police to conduct a welfare check. At his apartment, everything was neat, too neat. smelled faintly of his favorite cologne and jasmine tea. On the table lay a notebook filled with lyrics and sketches, drawings of the sea, of light, and of smiling faces. There was no note, no explanation, only silence. As rumors began spreading online, he noticed something odd. His last social media story, a short video of a sunrise, was timestamped just before 5 a.m. the previous day. The caption read, "New beginnings are never easy." At first, fans thought it was a teaser for a new project. But as hours turned into a day of silence, that single line became an echo of heartbreak. Comment sections filled with confusion. "Where are you? Are you okay? Please tell us this is a joke." By evening, reporters began surrounding his agency building. The company released a vague statement: Menglong is taking a short rest due to health concerns. Please refrain from speculation. Behind closed doors, chaos erupted. His family had been informed. His phone remained off. The agency's crisis team tried to trace his location using his car's GPS, but it had been left untouched. For 36 hours, there was no trace of him. Night, the production crew who had last seen him gathered in disbelief. One assistant broke down during an interview. He always smiled, no matter how tired he was. When he was sick, he would say, "Don't worry. The audience deserves the best version of me." That line, "the best version of me," became a haunting refrain in every conversation that followed. As dawn approached on the third day, the search intensified. His name trended across all platforms. Tags like "Stay Strong Menglong" and "Find Menglong" flooded social media. Fans lit candles outside his studio gates. Messages of hope poured in from across the world. "He was the reason I believed in gentle strength." One fan tweeted, "Please come back. No matter how far you've gone." Meanwhile, reporters and drones hovered over familiar places: the cafe he used to frequent, the park where he once practiced lines alone. Nothing. Just the sound of rain and the collective heartbeat of a nation waiting for a miracle. At 10:42 a.m. on the final day, police confirmed that they had located him near a remote hill outside the city. The area was calm, surrounded by pine trees and mist. According to authorities, there were no signs of struggle, no chaos, only a deep, haunting quiet. When paramedics arrived, he was still breathing faintly. Witnesses said he looked peaceful, as if in sleep. Ambulance rushed him to the hospital, but his condition remained critical. He was unresponsive, his pulse fading. Outside, hundreds of fans had already gathered after hearing whispers of the discovery. The hospital hallways were filled with flowers, prayers, and tears. For 72 hours, Menglong fought. Doctors described his condition as unstable but fighting. He refused to leave his side. His mother was flown in immediately and held his hand, whispering softly, "You can rest now, my son." He smiled faintly, one last time. That same smile, calm, gentle, eternal. Witnesses say he whispered something no one could quite hear before the monitors fell silent. By the time the news broke, it was already too late. The official statement from his agency came hours later, with deep sorrow. "We confirm that actor and singer Menglong has passed away due to sudden health complications. We ask for privacy and respect during this time." Internet froze. Fans refused to believe it. How could someone who always smiled, who carried light wherever he went, be gone so suddenly? Videos of him laughing, performing, comforting others filled every timeline. His final interviews were replayed millions of times, especially the one where he said, "Even when it hurts, I'll smile." Someone out there might need that smile today. The world wept. Celebrities expressed disbelief. His co-stars wrote messages that read like eulogies. "Taught me kindness in silence," one said. Never complained, even when the world was unfair. Gatherings turned into vigils. Streets were lined with white flowers. And somewhere in all that grief, a realization emerged: he had been fighting quietly all along. Against the world, but against himself. Final hours of that third day, the city lights dimmed in his honor. Television networks replayed his past dramas. Online communities united in grief, creating digital memorials filled with drawings, poems, and letters addressed to him. "You're not alone anymore," one message read. "Please see the pain behind your smile." Closes here. The curtain falls on the first 72 hours that changed everything. What remains is silence, confusion, Heavy question that lingers: what truly happened to you, Menglong, in those final moments, and why did he keep smiling until the end? Morning broke through the city like a whisper. The air was heavy, and silence hung over every screen. Message thread. Every corner of the digital world at once echoed with his laughter. The world had changed overnight. It wasn't just about a man's disappearance, it was about what that silence represented. It was about exhaustion, compassion, quiet pain that hides behind fame. Red carpet revealed return to the places he'd last been seen, tracing the fragile footprints of a man who gave everything to his art until there was nothing left to give. Outside the hospital gates, fans gathered in the rain, holding candles and pictures. Too young to understand what grief truly meant, others simply stood, staring at the building that had become a monument to uncertainty. One woman in her 50s told us, her voice shaking, "He reminded me of my son. Always working. Always smiling, never complaining. That smile is what broke me." The phrase repeated over and over across countless interviews, the smile. It was no longer just an expression, it had become a symbol. A language of endurance that everyone suddenly understood. Inside the entertainment industry, chaos met reflection. Action teams froze filming. Brands paused campaigns. Managers who once juggled schedules now sat quietly, looking at the faces of their exhausted artists. For years, the image of perfection had been their currency. Now it was their curse. Yu Menglong's silence forced us to hear the noise we created. One executive admitted, "We built an empire on constant visibility. But maybe what we needed was invisibility, a breath." Behind closed doors, his friends gathered for the first time since the incident. They brought with them laughter, tears, old photos, snapshots of ordinary moments, him feeding stray cats after a long shoot, him joking with staff, staying behind after rehearsals just to say thank you to every crew member. He wasn't just kind on camera, co-star said softly. He lived kindness. They remembered his stubbornness too, how he refused to rest even when sick, how he insisted on retaking scenes just to make others look better. He wanted everyone else to shine, another added, even if it meant dimming himself. As days turned into weeks, the world began to ask deeper questions. Is tragedy inevitable? Could it have been prevented? Psychologists were invited to panels, speaking about burnout, about the loneliness of public figures who are never truly alone but never truly known. People think fame protects you, one expert said. But it isolates you. It builds walls of applause that block out cries for help. The line went viral, echoing across screens just like his smile once did. Red Carpet Revealed's investigative team began piecing together his last projects, unearthing unreleased footage, behind-the-scenes clips, and voice notes from rehearsals. In one recording, his voice trembles slightly as he practices a line for a drama, "No matter how dark it gets, I'll keep smiling so others don't have to cry." He was devastating. That same line, "It's a scripted performance," had become his real-life motto, and perhaps his undoing. It aired during a late-night broadcast, and social media erupted in tears. Didn't just play that role. One viewer commented, "He lived it until it consumed him." Meanwhile, letters began to pour into his agency from around the world. They weren't fan letters, they were confessions. Of exhaustion, of broken dreams. People who had once wanted to give up but found strength in his presence. Teachers, nurses, students, artists, all writing to say, "Your smile helped me survive one more day." The agency, overwhelmed, created an online memorial where people could leave messages. Within 48 hours, it had over 3 million entries. Some were simple, "Thank you." Others were raw, "You saved me when I couldn't save myself." And then, something remarkable happened. His last unfinished song, a quiet acoustic piece he had been working on, surfaced. It was titled "Still Here." No one knew it existed. The lyrics were haunting, "If tomorrow forgets my name, still remember my smile." His producer decided to complete it using archived recordings of his voice. The song was released. It broke streaming records within hours. Fans described it as both a farewell and a homecoming. For many, it was the closure they had been waiting for. Perhaps the most powerful revelation came not from a song, but from a letter found weeks later in one of his notebooks. It wasn't addressed to anyone specifically. It read, "If you're reading this, please take a breath. I don't want my silence to scare you. I wanted it to wake you. Is loud, and it hurts. But it's still beautiful. Don't stop looking for the light. Even when I'm gone. Hope you keep smiling. That final line, keep smiling, reignited an entire movement online. Fans began sharing photos of themselves smiling through tears, using the hashtag #KeepSmiling for Menglong. Within days, it became one of the most shared phrases of the year. In response, mental health organizations partnered with his fan clubs to launch campaigns about burnout awareness and kindness within the entertainment industry. Billboards appeared across major cities featuring his portrait and the words, "Kindness is strength." His silence had sparked a conversation louder than any award speech could have. He had transformed pain into purpose, even posthumously. When Red Carpet Revealed visited his hometown months later, found the same small cafe he used to frequent before fame. The owner, an elderly man, smiled sadly as he recalled. He always sat by the window and ordered the same tea. Spoke much, but he always left a tip with a note. The last one said, "Thank you for letting me be quiet." It was in that cafe that the essence of his legacy truly became clear. Yu Menglong's story wasn't just about a star fading, it was about the silence that heals, the smile that endures, the small moments that outlive the applause. The narrative of those 72 hours slowly evolved from tragedy to teaching. Filmmakers created a documentary titled 72 Hours of Light, chronicling his journey not as a fall, the transformation. Colleagues who once spoke of grief now spoke of gratitude. One director said in tears, "Reminded us that art without empathy is hollow." Now, every time I call cut, I remember who smile and ask my team if they've eaten. The audience, once broken, and to rebuild with newfound compassion, toward idols, toward one another, and toward themselves. And now, a year later, his name trends every time someone mentions strength, peace, or kindness. In schools, quotes are used in lessons about empathy. In studios, his face hangs on walls not as an idol. A reminder that even the brightest lights need rest. Industry slowly began changing. Shorter work hours, wellness programs, open discussions about emotional health. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. One journalist wrote, "He gave his life to a system that forgot he was human, but in doing so, he made it remember." As we close this exclusive report, Red Carpet Revealed doesn't just look back, it listens forward. The echoes of Yu Menglong's smile remain in every act of kindness inspired by his silence. His legacy is not on the tragedy that ended his days, but in the truth that began after it. The truth that vulnerability is not weakness. Love outlives pain. That even in the darkest hours, one smile can save 1,000 hearts. He once said, "I want to make people feel calm when they look at me." He did more than that. He made them believe that gentleness could survive chaos. Today, candles still flicker in the windows of his fans and songs written in his memory fill the air. One thing remains certain, his story didn't end, it transformed. It became a mirror held up to the world, asking every one of us a question we can no longer ignore. When was the last time you truly smiled, not to hide pain, but to heal it? And with that question, the story of Yu Menglong lives on. His silence became the loudest message of all, a call for compassion, for rest, for humanity. Cameras may have stopped rolling, but his light continues to flicker, softly, eternally. Across every heart he touched, he kept smiling until the end, and because of that, the world finally learned how to begin again.